Welcome back to the Kudlow Report. Americans for Tax Reform tell us that on January 1st, 2013, Americans will get smacked with a staggering $268 billion tax hike. All that thanks to Obamacare. Happy New Year indeed. Joining us now to report on this, Katie Pavlich, news editor, townhall.com. Hi, Katie. Let Katie split. Let's go through this stuff from your report. I want to rank them by numbers. The biggest one here, $123 billion, is a 3.8% surtax on all manner of investment. Now, how's that going to help the economy? What is this thing?
Well, it won't help the economy. So essentially, with the way that this bill was set up is they're going to put this new 3.8% surtax onto investors to pay for Obamacare. And as you mentioned, it costs more than $100 billion. And something to keep in mind here is that the total tax hike cost for Obamacare is $500 billion. And Americans are going to see more than half of that take place on January 1st.
And, all right, so that covers capital gains, dividends, estate taxes, covers a lot, that 3.8%. That's on top of whatever they decide to do on this fiscal cliff business. Now, Katie, the next biggest one, $87 billion, is an increase in the payroll tax. 0.9%. It would go from 2.9 to 3.8%. Small business and self-employed are going to pay for that. Now, how does that promote growth?
Well, it's exactly what conservatives and investors have been saying since Obamacare passed. It doesn't promote growth. In fact, it shrinks the economy. Because employers are now going to have to pay more in taxes to pay for their employees and to pay for Obamacare, they're going to be hiring less, which, of course, means that there's going to be less taxpayers because there's less employees.
Just to stop there for a minute, Katie, why don't Republicans talk about this? In other words, when they talk about the fiscal cliff, the debate is about the upper brackets and the capital gains tax. Why don't they do the add-ons that you're doing on the Obamacare tax?
Well, you know, I'm actually not sure about this. I'm not really, I'm pretty confused about why the Romney campaign didn't hit the Obamacare tax argument harder on the campaign trail, because the Supreme Court ruled it a tax for good reason. I mean, we've gone through the numbers here on your show, and the fact is that this hits small businesses and in return hits the middle class, the very people that these small businesses employ. The people who are going to get hit the hardest with most of the taxes, those making more than even $200,000 per year, are the ones employing the middle class that President Obama keeps propping up to get his agenda passed.
All right, so now we got this $20 billion medical device tax. This has been around, and I believe you write that this will really crush medical innovation in the United States.
Right. Well, I think this is one of the more severe taxes that we're going to see, because essentially with this medical device tax, they're tacking on more cost to producing life-saving devices such as mechanical hearts. And what this does essentially is it does the same thing as a doctor shortage. These students who go into these specialized programs such as biomedical engineering are no longer going to see a return on their investment, because it's going to be too expensive for companies to keep as many employees around, which in return and in the long run means that companies are going to be producing less effective and less efficient medical devices.
All right, Katie, another one, a nasty one. This one's only worth $13 billion, but gee whiz. There's a cap on special needs kids. Can you talk about that? That's incredible to me.
Well, essentially, the current law states, and this will change on January 1st, that you can have, well, it changed actually when Obamacare passed. You used to have a flex spending account that was essentially, you put money into it that's tax exempt, and you can pay for special needs tuition with it. Well, that used to be an unlimited amount for special needs families. Now, the federal government has put a cap of $2,500 on what's called your flexible spending account, which means that anything after $2,500 for special needs families is going to be taxed, and tuition for special needs families is very expensive, around the average of $14,000 per year. So what this means is that special needs families are going to be paying $10,000, $12,000 more per year at a taxable rate to get their kids through school.
Yeah, and they're always talking about how Republicans want to destroy the studies for autism.
Right.
I mean,
and they don't care, right?
Right. Republicans don't care, but here it is in black and white in the Obamacare. Katie Pavlich, we didn't get to all the tax increases, but we appreciate it very much. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.